This is the power of a main theme soundtrack, specifically in gaming. Tell me what game comes to mind when you hear this. If you guessed 007 GoldenEye for Nintendo 64, you are absolutely correct. And congratulations, you're now officially an old uncle gamer like me who played this masterpiece back when life was simpler. On the other hand, maybe you're not that old and just enjoy playing classic games. Or maybe you've never even heard about this game and simply guessed based on the main notes from the classic 007 score. But for those of you who actually played the game, let me ask you something. When you heard that short snippet, was this moment from the game the first thing that came into your mind? Okay, now let's do another exercise. Tell me what comes to mind when you hear this next track. Did you think of Michael, Franklin, or Trevor? Maybe a specific moment with one of them, or with all three together? But I'm pretty sure you thought about Los Santos, either doing a mission or just driving around the city. Music messes with all of our senses. It can make us euphoric, sad, calm, or deeply nostalgic. Now let's go a bit deeper. The soundtrack of any form of media, whether it's a movie, a TV show, or a game, is an extremely powerful tool to emotionally connect with the audience. And just as important as that, it gives identity to that piece of content. And oddly enough, I don't think everyone immediately realizes the influence and power a soundtrack has over your senses and memories while you're consuming that media. Let me show you an example. I'm going to play a very famous scene, but without any sound. If you heard the score blasting in your head along with blasters and lightsabers even though there was no sound at all, then I've made my point. You won't always fall in love with a soundtrack and go listen to it during your day-to-day life, but some of them will be completely engraved in your memory without you even realizing it. At some point, a scene or an image will make you think of that specific soundtrack, or the soundtrack itself will instantly bring back a specific scene or piece of content. But what does all of this have to do with gaming main themes? I'll get there, but before that, let me share a personal theory. And I could be completely wrong and totally pulling this out of my ass.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way. Like an improv conversation.
When we hear a song that is deeply tied to any type of content or entertainment, and that song gets stuck in our head, every time we hear it again, no matter if it's 1, 5, or 10 plus years later, we're instantly taken back to the peak moment or the most impactful time when we were consuming that content. And that can trigger a very powerful feeling, the desire to relive it, to replay it. For me, this effect is even stronger in video games. Why? Because we spend much more continuous time with games than we do with movies. The length of a movie usually ranges from 1 hour and 30 minutes to maybe 3, 3.5, or 4 hours. In a game, you can spend anywhere from, let's say, 30 hours to well over 100 hours. Sure, you might be like me and have watched the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy 10 times and still going, but you're not going to watch them for days in a row back to back to back. Or maybe you are. But with games though, you're coming back almost every day. You're hearing the same music every time you enter the main menu and during specific moments of the game. And you're actively part of the story, controlling the main character while those soundtracks are playing in the background. That's total immersion. And because of that, I would argue that a game soundtrack can have an even stronger effect on your memory than a movie soundtrack. Listening to a game OST makes me want to replay a game way more than a movie OST makes me want to rewatch a movie. So today I want to bring you a ranking that I haven't seen many people do on YouTube. I want to rank my personal top 5 gaming main themes. Main themes because they are one of the strongest identities of a game. They define its tone, personality, and often emotionally guide you on how to approach that game. The main theme is also often your very first contact with the game, whether through a trailer, the main menu, or the opening scene. And before we start, let me explain the criteria for this ranking. I am not ranking this by nostalgia. I started this list by asking myself, which main theme vividly reminds me of the game and makes me anxiously want to go back and relive everything I played? And which main theme perfectly matches and complements the game's story, characters, and overall vibe? With that out of the way, let's jump right into the ranking. So, starting off at number 5, The Last of Us. This one really pulls at my heartstrings. The Last of Us is one of those games that stays in your head for days after you finish it, and the main theme stays with you too, simply because it perfectly complements the story and the overall vibe of the game.
But I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me.
The first few seconds give you this ominous, lonely, melancholic atmosphere, but with a sense of constant movement, which was exactly what Gustavo Santaolalla wanted to convey.
A horrible political situation in Argentina. We had a military dictatorship where 30,000 people disappeared at the hands of the government, and many other more were tortured, and I was blacklisted. It was just impossible for me to keep on living there. I've been in jailed many times since I was probably 15 years old, just because I had long hair and I play an electric guitar. So I had to embark on this trip. I can relate to that kind of need of movement and going to the next place and the next place and the next step.
From the middle to the end, the music starts introducing notes that brings a sense of peace and hope, without ever letting go of the tension. And isn't that exactly the story of the game? In the first half, we see Joel and Ellie with their emotional barriers up. Even together, they're still lonely, each of them carrying their own wounds. In the second half, we see them slowly connecting, just like the instruments slowly coming together. And we start to see a glimmer of hope. A chance for happiness, comfort, and peace in each other, without letting their guard down against the dangers that still exist in the world.
Hey there. So fucking cool.
This theme makes you remember the story, the abandoned world being reclaimed by nature, but in my opinion, it reminds you even more of what you felt during their journey and the emotional bond you formed with Joe and Ellie. Oh man, just hearing a few seconds of this track always makes me want to dive back into this masterpiece.
So, is everything you were hoping for?
It's got its ups and downs, but you can't deny the view though.
And number 4, Skyrim, the Dragonborn song. Talk about a theme that overdoses you with adrenaline and makes you want to climb mountains. This score is a f***ing masterpiece. Who remembers wandering through the open fields and suddenly seeing a dragon appear in the sky for the first time? Or who remembers the first time you used in real combat and realized you could send enemies flying across the map, or even the final battle against Alduin? This game marked a new chapter in RPG history, and it was the first game that truly immersed me to the point of obsession. This theme was so impactful that for years after its release, it was still being used in memes, videos, and countless pieces of content.
Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
And it's arguably one of the most epic and grand soundtracks gaming has ever had. The game itself was massive in scale and epic for its time, and it deserved a main theme worthy of that scale. And composer Jeremy Soule absolutely delivered. Number 3, Final Fantasy VII. If The Last of Us main theme always brings me a feeling of melancholy, Final Fantasy VII's main theme reminds me of the amazing time I had playing the game. What makes this theme so perfect is that it makes me miss everything. The main story, the characters, the mini-games, exploring the world, and the game's atmosphere as a whole. And I'll go even further. If someone who's never played the game hears this track, I bet they'll imagine an environment that's not very far from what the game actually delivers. To me, this theme brings an unbelievable sense of peace. Believe it or not, whenever I really need to focus on a task, I put the Final Fantasy VII OST in the background. But every time the main theme comes on, I catch myself stopping and remembering how I felt when I first played the game and heard this music while exploring the world map. That was one of the moments when the game completely captured me. And it still does, even today, without me actively playing it anymore. And number 2, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. In case you didn't know, The Witcher 3 has been my personal number 1 game for quite some time now, and I honestly can't put into words what the main theme makes me feel. I love every piece of music in this game, but here's the difference. The Novigrad theme makes me want to go back only to Novigrad, and the Skellige theme makes me want to adventure only in Skellige. But The Witcher 3's main theme makes me want to replay the entire game, even though I've beat it at least 3 times now, DLCs included. And even then, this track makes me want to experience the game as if I've never played it before. Would the game be worse without such an epic and memorable OST and main theme? Probably not. But having both composed at such an incredibly high level elevated an already perfect game even further.
They hired me to kill the beast. Thing is, the real beast is something else, though.
Listen to me. I rule the largest empire the world has ever known.
Geralt, we should stay out of it. Choosing the lesser evil can be hard at times.
Be careful, Geralt.
The way the music starts with an epic explosion, drops in intensity, and then slowly builds itself back up, only to end with not one, but 2 majestic climaxes, will never stop giving me chills.
And that's why I can't let this go.
My daughter Cirilla, she's in danger. You will find her and bring her to me.
Gotta save Ciri, whatever the cost.
The Wild Hunt tracked them down, found them there.
Elder blood flows in Ciri's veins. Which is why the Wild Hunt wants to capture her.
This is the end, Geralt.
It's just the beginning.
Before covering up my top main theme, I want to highlight some honorable mentions. It was really hard to leave these out of the main list, but they're still incredibly important, not just in my gaming life, but in gaming history as a whole. Uncharted series, Nate's theme. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. God of War 2018. Pokemon Red and Blue opening theme. And last but not least, Super Mario 64 title theme. And now for number 1 and what I consider to be the best main theme in any game, Batman Arkham City main theme. If The Witcher 3 is my favorite game, Batman is, without a doubt, my favorite hero since childhood. And Batman Arkham City is the best superhero game I've ever played. The main theme subtly blends elements from Nolan's trilogy with hints of Mask of the Phantasm, creating a brand new tone for The Dark Knight. The music is dark, heroic, and constantly filled with tension and movement, which perfectly matches who Batman is, especially in the Arkham games. The tireless hero who lives in the shadows, a symbol of fear. When the score finally reaches its climax, you don't feel like someone controlling Batman anymore. If you've played the game, do you remember when Protocol 10 was activated and the helicopter started bombing Arkham City and this music played? Well, that was the moment you became Batman. The Batman whose vengeance. The Batman from the night. You were Batman. Well, that's my personal ranking, and it definitely wasn't easy to narrow it down to just 5, considering how many epic and perfect main themes exist throughout the history of gaming. But let me know, do you agree with the list? And what are your favorite gaming main themes? And last but not least, did this ranking make you want to replay any of these games? If you enjoyed this content, please support the channel by subscribing, commenting, and hitting that sweet like button. And take care, my dear viewers.